Nissan Micra. Hello, you're watching Whizbang, and today in this video we'll be looking at the new Nissan Micra, which is due to be launched in January of 2026 with an estimated price beginning at £23,000. First though, it's time for a little bit of a brief history lesson of where the Nissan Micra, originated from. This is the Datsun or Nissan Cherry, which was launched in 1970, and it grew into a, very busy and emerging sector of the super mini class of cars, which became quite fierce competition and saw the introduction of the likes of the Renault 5, the Ford Fiesta, the Vauxhall Chevette, Fiat 127, many more basic little hatchbacks that were big sellers, and the Datsun Cherry was certainly a successful seller. And this is the 100A model, built from 1970 to 77, and a couple of other models soon followed that were built into the early 1980s. But in 1982, the Micra was born! Yes, the Nissan Micra K10 as it was known, the first generation. It had rather plain styling, but featured very durable and reliable engines under the bonnet that, saw it through a long production life lasting until 1992 with a facelift in 1990, and it sold very well and proved to be very popular and, was possibly one of the best super minis in terms of reliability. Many Japanese cars are reliable. Out and about and a Micra bout, the second generation or K11 Micra made its debut in 1992 and won the European Car of the Year award in 1993. That was very impressive and was a big title to win for the Nissan Micra Super Mini. It was a big achievement, especially for a Japanese car at the time as well. And it featured rather, I would say, cheeky styling, but also very attractive styling, and I think this probably helped sales continue, and it remained a strong seller and still was very thoroughly reliable and good car. And it received a facelift in 1997, which updated its looks a little bit, and again another one in 1999. But it still remained in production until 2002. Ah yes, the iconic K12 Nissan Micra, the third generation model. In a way, I can see a little bit of Morris Minor in this model. That's why I sort of mentioned the Micra that wanted to be the Morris Minor potentially. I mean, it doesn't really look a lot like a Morris Minor, but just a little bit, hints to its shape and hints to its styling. It does look a lot different compared to the other super minis on the market that it faced competition with. But still, I guess it was quite brave of Nissan to produce a car with this bold styling. It could have been a complete sales flop, but in the end it still continued to sell very well, and this model was produced until 2010. Growing out of the Morris Minor phase now, the K13 Nissan Micra, or the fourth generation model, arrived in 2010 and featured a similar sort of shape to the previous generation Micra, but with revised and more modern styling. This model was also facelifted in, I think it was 2013, which saw the styling alter a little bit, looking a little bit Nissan Qashqai-esque, but not very much, still with the same sort of body shape. And in other markets, this model is still being produced actually, but even though another model Micra, I think it was the K14 model, had already taken over in Europe and a few other selected markets, although elsewhere the K13 is still being produced. With the introduction to the K14, or the fifth generation Nissan Micra at the end of 2016, it was clear to see the Micra was completely finished with the Morris Minor phase, but now it looks like it wants to be, its big brother, the Nissan Qashqai, in its styling. Anyway, this model was sold in Europe and some other selected markets, and production ceased of this model in 2023. However, I think it's a very smart design and looks quite sporty. I quite like it. But now back to the Micra that, hasn't begun production yet, but is due to commence very soon. This is the future model, which has, well, I think rather futuristic styling. It's quite wow when you look at it, but yeah, you can see it shows its styling is in nod to the third generation K12 Micra, with the sort of rounded headlights, and at the rear it also, you can see how it, I know I don't have any pictures of the rear, but you can see how it also shows resemblance to the K12 Micra. But in its general shape, I think it also pays tribute a bit to the original. It looks quite boxy for a modern car, but still, let's wait and see, I guess, to who can be the first one to spot one on the road, I wonder. Anyway, there's due to be a couple of models of this model due to, well, of the Micra, I mean, due to arrive in production. There'll be the cheaper version, which has a 120 brake horsepower electric motor with a 40 kilowatt battery that gives an official range of 192 miles. The more powerful version, which is the other model, produces 148 brake horsepower and is officially gives up to 253 miles of range, and that model has a 52 kilowatt battery, and it has the 40 kilowatt Micra has a 0 to 62 time of 9 seconds, and the 52 kilowatt version is a second quicker to 62 miles an hour. Although even the entry-level Mini Cooper electric, which is one of its rivals, is only 7.3 seconds, it says here. Yeah, to 60. Or 62, sorry. Both versions of the Micra have a top speed of around 93 miles an hour. And it is also clear to see that because the Renault and Nissan are in a partnership, much of the design of the Micra is shared in common with the new Renault 5 that has also been introduced, as you can see here. Yes, this is the impressive little electric new Renault 5 that you can see in its retro styling is made in nod to the original Renault 5, and all in all is a very good package. And if you look at the shape of the car, you can see how it's very similar to the new Nissan Micra that's due to also arrive in production in January 2026 that we're talking about in this video. And these are the competitors that the new Nissan Micra is aimed at: the Peugeot E208, the Mini Cooper and the Renault 5. There are 4 different driving modes that will be available on the new Micra, called the Eco, the Comfort, the Sport and the Perso, short for personal. And it also comes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard. And in the base model you'll have a 7-inch digital instrumental panel with a 10.1 inch infotainment touchscreen, while higher spec variants will have two 10.1 inch screens, as in the Renault 5. And the new Micra, well, it shares a lot of technology with the Renault 5 as well as some other larger Nissans in the Nissan range. There are also many personalisation options available, so you can make the car quite unique really to suit your own self and your own likes. Well, yeah. And the boot is also, quite spacious. It holds quite a good amount. It can hold quite a good amount of luggage inside, and the rest of the interior is quite similar to the new Renault 5, which isn't a bad thing at all, because the new Renault 5 is quite good in the interior. The only sort of downside to the Renault 5 is the rear foot room to put your feet, and the leg room. In the Micra, I'm not so sure what that's going to be like, but probably similar, which isn't fantastic. But overall, as a verdict for this car, I hope it does well when it comes to sale, and I think it's quite a good little machine, and is, it's a bit more, probably slightly more budgety possibly than the Renault 5, but as a new small electric car, I think it's a good contender. But what do you guys think about the new Nissan Micra? Well, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Bye.